speak on national radio. And then the sentiment was so strong, was unstoppable. So it could have been any other person. I mean, a cause can have many faces, as he mentions, as long as the measures stays the same. I was just replying what everybody was already in agreement. I was not trying to convince people to think differently. I was just saying, hey, you think what everybody's thinking in Colombia, that this needs to stop? Okay, come join us. And it was easy to sell.
Wow, for you? I think when the page was created, the first couple of days, 60,000 people joined. And I didn't think of the number as the critical mass. I didn't know, like I was not philosophically sitting down and looking at would that be the critical mass or not. But what I was trying to personally do is to think of it as a sales channel where I have someone, that my audience is all the Egyptian people on Facebook. I want them to like the page, and then I want them to start liking the content, then start sharing it with their friends, then start participating in the street activities, and then start being promoters of the cause. And the idea was to try and convert people throughout every phase, and that was happening. You know, I can just put the science now as I'm sitting with you guys and make it sound like this was all planned, which is not true. It's just my analysis of what was going on after it happened was this case. People were getting converted until the Tunisia events happened, and definitely that was the real, you know, if there is credit that should go to anyone, it would go to the Tunisian people, because Egyptians looked and was like, wow, actually, you know, the first post on 14th of January after Ben Ali went down was just a status message that said, do you guys think if we can, you know, if we call for something on the Egyptian streets, we would get hundreds of thousands of people marching the street? And because if that question was asked, you know, 1st of January, let's say, a lot of people would be mocking that question. And they were saying, this is useless, you know, you're going to harm the country, don't do that, blah, blah. But then, because they saw Tunisia, that was the critical mass point. Everyone was like, let's do it. And that was the proper time. And again, this was another thing I learned personally. I worked on this page from June 2010. And I had a lot of time where I was thinking, I'm investing a lot of time in this and nothing is happening. I was saying, okay, at least I'm trying to tell people what was going on and converting as much people as I can. But don't feel bad about what you're doing, because the right moment sometimes the tipping point comes where you don't expect. Tunisia were never expected. In fact, I had big fights with the other admin who wanted to write about Tunisia at the first week of January, and I said, do not do that, because we don't want people to think that we're calling for people to do violence in the street and misunderstand the cause of the page, which was very peaceful, Gandhi-like, you know, peaceful movement.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point about conversion. I think this is perhaps applicable to the audience. As they are driving their causes and trying to gain visibility on their causes, what is the value of 1 million likes? And does it mean anything? And if it doesn't, how do you then convert online activism into boots on the ground, which really seems to be the final key to social change?
The value of numbers is very important, not by collecting the collection of number. I'm one against collectivism. I don't like causes when they're just online presences of something that is not relatable to activities in real life. So one key to success of any given movement is to be creative enough to translate a protest or a feeling of rejection against the status quo by proposing real activities. Whether it's a street protest, it doesn't have to be a protest necessarily. It could be anything that involves participation from users, that you can use these users that you are building inside an online community.
But you have to go from the web to physical?
A task, assign them a responsibility. Our call was simple. Wear a t-shirt that is white, or wear our flag, the flag for our country. Please, on February 4th, please be there. That's all we ask from you. But they were relating to it because they felt that, okay, I am not only clicking, actually I'm doing something with my personal capacity.
And what was the key to that movement from the web world to the physical world? Was it a low barrier to entry? How did you inspire people to actually, because I think this is a challenge for everyone in the audience, to actually go from the web to the real world?
hard to explain. Maybe, I think, is 10 people followed other 10 people. I mean, when they see that the cause was being supported, not only by all these millions of people gathered on online presence, but with the media and certain, icons in my own country. When these people that drives a lot of attention joins the cause, it's easy for others to follow because they are role models, and when they believe that this is worth it, it's easy to break the ice. It's easy to continue selling the idea of a protest.
In your experience?
I think the numbers are always deceiving. I personally think that the page, our page, pre-revolution, where it had 250,000 people, was much more effective than the page now, which has 1.6 million. Because at that time, the believers of the cause were so strong, and they went through the whole experience that they're not newcomers. So I wouldn't really care about the numbers of people that are following you, rather than I care about the cause. Also, I think that doing something doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a protest in the street. We just tried to do another admin on the page, tried to do a campaign a couple of days ago to raise money for Somalia using SMS, where you can actually donate $1 by sending an SMS, and the campaign did very well. It's just the fact that you need to keep people always engaged, and when you do something, you need to think of a scale. Something I personally learned by working for a company like Google is learning that scale is very critical. Feeding 100 people is very important. Educating 100 people is critical in your neighborhood. But then if you fail to scale that, or if you fail to inspire others to scale this operation, then the effort is going to be very limited, and it will just normalize. And it's like throwing a needle in an ocean. It's not going to make the real impact you're looking for. So I would really recommend for people working on causes or thinking about causes is to think about things that can be scaled. I can just give you an example of a simple guy who did an amazing scalable project, which was called Khan Academy. It's basically an online, with $200, he got a stylus, and he started teaching people math through videos, posting them on YouTube. As of today, he has over 2,000 videos and 60 million viewers. That is something scalable. And he thought of that. And this is the beauty of the internet. Don't limit yourself to the old era of activism. You can do a lot of things other than campaigning and protesting, because I've had enough of those. But
I totally agree. I totally agree, and I think it's very, very important that you guys learn how to deal with content. Being an activist is not only being very knowledgeable about your cause and about the things you defend. It's also becoming an expert in how to produce a video, how to edit a picture, how to exploit an image so it can actually inspire others to move. I was inspired by a video that was published on YouTube of a Tunisian being killed. And I was not even Tunisian. And it felt like one of mine. So, a video can actually make a lot of difference. A video can represent 10 people's joining, not the cause online, but the cause on the street. So content is very important, and I'm sometimes frustrated when I see that leaders of causes, they have very good oral abilities and oral speech capabilities, but they don't produce content, so nobody is actually understanding what this guy is doing.
Very quickly, in the remaining time that we had left, last night I had an opportunity to speak with one of the delegates from Egypt, from your home country, a young woman, and she wanted to know what happens now. You have used these tools effectively to create social change and to create revolution. Are those same tools as effective at governance?
It's a philosophical question. First of all, I personally believe that you gotta do what you gotta do, and don't care about the results. I was interviewed by a Newsweek guy anonymously on 24th, and he was asking me, "Do you think this is gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't care. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do." So our role is not to keep thinking and analyzing. It's just to get on and do changes. We have experienced some interesting initiatives going on now. A lot of them are built online, where people are trying to make to do an impact. It's very easy. I would say it's very easy to get rid of a nightmare. It's very hard to dream. although everyone thinks the opposite way, because once, the nightmare is very obvious, and, it's your enemy, and all of us were fighting against an enemy. And now as this enemy vanishes, it's very hard to think of, a unified sort of a dream. This is the biggest Egyptian challenge now. But going back to the people, I think what you care about, or what you should do, and I was personally inspired by a lot of people who used to speak in the past, and I was feeling very jealous about, what they have achieved, is that you should not care about anyone who demotivates you, because in Egypt we have a saying that says, "Mafish fayda." This "Mafish fayda" means there is no hope. I used to see that on the page starting June 2010, tons of thousands of times, and I didn't care. And at the same time, it's very important that you start doing something that you can scale with the help of others, and you as a person is not crucial for its success. It's not about you, it's about the cause. It's not, you're positioning yourself as a hero. I don't think of myself as a hero, and I believe in it, because the fact is, people went to the street not because of, seeing me preaching them. It's because they believed in the cause. They wanted to go to the street, and they continued the struggle because there was no one like me in the middle. And that's why the government had a huge problem trying to crack that down. They couldn't speak to anyone who would have the push button to stop it. If anyone comes in to stop, that person will be discredited. So just think of scalable things to do, and forget about the credit, and because this whole credit thing ruins probably most of the activities.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk to these gentlemen backstage, and I can say that they do not consider themselves heroes, but I think it's safe to say that the rest of us do. So thank you guys very much.
I won't kiss you. You did a great job.